Story 1. Good night, everyone. I'm going to tell you something that I've been keeping secret for some time. My name's Liam Murphy. I'm 30 years old, and I work as a rideshare driver here in Dublin. I'm going to tell you about something that happened to me a few weeks back, and honestly, I still don't know how to make sense of it. It was on a Friday night, real late, around 2 in the morning. I was wrapping up my shift, but I figured I'd take one last fare before heading home. I was beat. But rent doesn't wait. You know how it is. The request came from a pretty out-of-the-way spot, an industrial area near Clondalkin, where hardly anyone goes at that hour. It wasn't the kind of place I like picking up fares, but the pay was decent, so I accepted. I turned on the radio real low to keep me company while I drove out there. The GPS said I'd get there in about 15 minutes. And the night was super quiet, just the sound of the tires on the pavement. I thought it'd be just another quick ride, pick up the passenger, and move on. I got to the pickup spot, an empty parking lot near some old warehouses. There wasn't a soul around, just the wind rattling some trash cans. I parked the car and sent a message through the app to the passenger, letting them know I was there. I waited a few minutes, but nothing. Nobody showed up. I figured it might be another prank, or someone who bailed on the ride. While I was waiting, I started noticing a weird smell inside the car, kind of musty, like something old or damp was. Nearby, it wasn't the smell of my car, I'm sure of that because I clean it every week. I looked around but didn't see anything unusual, just the empty back seat. Then, out of nowhere, I heard a faint sound like soft breathing, real quiet, as if someone was back there. My heart picked up a bit, but I didn't even want to think about it, you know? I glanced in the rearview mirror real quick, just to make sure nobody was there. And there wasn't. The seat was empty. But I swear that breathing sound didn't stop. I tried to convince myself it was all in my head, that I was just super tired. After all, I'd been driving all day, barely ate anything. Decent. But that musty smell seemed to get stronger, and the feeling that I wasn't alone wouldn't go away. I decided to wait a couple more minutes, since sometimes passengers take a while to show. I flipped on the interior lights just to feel a bit safer, but that didn't help much. The silence outside was heavy, broken only by that breathing sound that seemed to come from behind me. I thought about getting out of the car to take a look, but something told me to stay put. In the end, I decided I'd head to the drop-off location marked in the app, even without a passenger. At least that way I'd get out of there. I started driving, trying to focus on the road. The industrial area was deserted, not a single car passing by at that hour. The destination was only about 10 minutes away, still in the same area, near an abandoned storage lot. As I drove, I kept smelling that odd scent, and the sound of breathing seemed clearer, almost like someone was right behind me. I tried not to look in the rearview mirror, because honestly, I was scared of what I might see, but I couldn't help it, you know? I stole a quick glance, just for a second, and nearly slammed on the brakes from the shock. In the mirror, I saw a pair of pale eyes, real light, staring right at me. I couldn't see the rest of the face, just those eyes, and in a blink, they were gone. My chest tightened, but when I looked again, there was nothing there. I tried to calm down, telling myself it was just exhaustion, that my eyes were playing tricks on me. But my hands were shaking on the steering wheel and I could barely keep my focus on the road. That musty smell felt suffocating now, like something rotten was in the car. I didn't know what to do. I just wanted to get to the destination and get out of this. The breathing in the back seat kept going, sometimes louder, sometimes quieter, but always there. I thought about pulling over and checking everything, but I was scared to open the door and find something I didn't want to see.
Odd.
So I just kept going, saying a quiet prayer, something I don't usually do. The GPS said I was just a few minutes from the drop-off point. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it might burst. I just wanted this ride to be over. I reached the destination, an even more isolated spot, just an empty lot with some broken streetlights. I parked the car, relieved to have made it, but still feeling that weird presence. I looked in the rearview mirror again, and of course, there was nothing there. The breathing sound seemed to have stopped, or at least I couldn't hear it anymore. I turned off the engine, trying to convince myself everything was fine. But then, I heard a noise that chilled me to the core. The back door on the passenger side made a creak, like it was being opened. I looked back, and the door was cracked. Open? Just a few inches? But I swear I didn't touch it. My car has automatic locks. There's no way it could open on its own. I shut the door quick, my heart racing. I stepped out of the car for a moment just to breathe and calm down. There was no one around, just the wind and the darkness. I checked inside the car again, looked in every corner, but didn't find anything. Out of place. The musty smell seemed to be gone, or maybe I just wasn't noticing it anymore. I got back in the driver's seat, locked all the doors, and ended the ride in the app. I don't know if I did the right or wrong thing, but I just wanted to get out of there. I drove back to downtown Dublin as fast as I could without speeding. The whole way I kept checking the rearview mirror every second, scared I'd see those eyes again. I didn't see anything, thank God, but the feeling that something was wrong wouldn't leave me. I got home around 3 in the morning, exhausted. And spooked? I parked the car in front of my building, a place I know well. Always quiet. But that night, even the sound of my footsteps in the hallway seemed too loud. I went into my apartment, locked the door, and left the lights on. I couldn't sleep, kept thinking about what had happened. I grabbed my phone and checked the app, just to see if there was anything about that ride. There was nothing unusual, just the record that I completed the trip. There wasn't even a passenger name listed, which I thought was weird, but maybe it's a glitch in the system. I sat on the couch, still kind of dazed, trying to figure out if I imagined it all.
I'll bet the memory of those eyes in the mirror felt so real.
To this day, I don't know what to think about it. After that night, I started getting more cautious about the rides I take. I always check the back seat before picking up a passenger, even if it seems paranoid. I avoid taking rides too late or in remote areas like that industrial zone. My car seems normal now, no weird smells or sounds, but sometimes I still feel uneasy. I told this story to a buddy and he laughed, said I was just tired, but I know what I saw, or at least, what I thought I saw. I don't know if it was something real or just my mind, but it stuck with me. Every time I get a ride request and there's no one at the pickup spot, I get tense. It's like I'm waiting to hear that breathing again. I never want to go through that again. It's been about 3 weeks since this happened, and I still think about it almost every day. I don't know if it was a prank, a glitch in the app, or something I can't understand. I try not to talk about it much because people think it's nonsense. But for me, it's not something I can brush off so easily. I work because I have to, but I'll admit sometimes I think about switching jobs. Driving at night isn't the same for me anymore, you know? Whenever I see the empty back seat in the mirror, I get kind of restless. I don't know if I'll ever forget this or if I'll get an answer for what happened. I just know that night something wasn't right. That's all I can say. I don't know if anyone who hears this believes me or not, but for me, it was way too real. I try to stick to my routine, driving, paying bills, living day to day. But there are nights I wake up out of nowhere, remembering that breathing sound. I don't know if it was a passenger who didn't show or something. I can't explain. I thought about going back to that industrial area, just to see if I feel something different. But honestly, I don't have the guts to go there alone, especially at night. Maybe I'll never know what it was, and maybe that's for the best. I just hope it doesn't happen again, because I don't know if I could handle it. If anyone's been through something like this, let me know, because I want to know if I'm not losing it. So far, I haven't found any explanation that makes sense to me. I keep wondering if it was just a moment of stress, a tired mind. At the same time, I can't get those eyes out of my head. It was like they were really looking at me, like they knew I was there. I don't know how to describe it, right? But it was something that didn't seem normal. I try not to think about it while I'm driving, but it's hard. My coworkers say it's normal to be scared of empty places at night. But I don't think it's just that. There was something about that ride that didn't feel right. I still use the same car, but sometimes I feel like it's carrying something from that night. I don't know if it's just me overthinking, but that's how I feel. Maybe time will help me get past it, or at least ignore it. Now, every time I take a late night ride, I'm more on edge. I check the app twice to make sure there's a passenger name. I don't chat much with whoever gets in, just do the basics, and keep going. Before, I was more laid back, liked to make small talk, but not now. That night changed how I work, how I see things. I don't know if I'll ever feel comfortable driving alone again. Maybe I need some time, or maybe this won't ever go away. I just know that while I'm driving, I avoid looking too much in the rearview mirror. It's a habit I've picked up, even though I know there's nothing there. Or at least I hope there's nothing there. I've already looked up weird stories in Dublin, just to see if I could find something similar. I didn't come across anything. That matched what I went through. Just urban legends that don't really fit. That industrial area doesn't have a reputation for being haunted or anything, as far as I know. It's just an old, kind of forgotten place where nobody goes without a reason. Maybe it was just a bad moment, a weird coincidence, or maybe I saw something I wasn't supposed to see. I don't know. I just know I don't like thinking about it for too long. I try to focus on work, on everyday stuff, but it's not easy. If anyone has an explanation, I'm open to hearing it. Till then, I'm stuck with this uncertainty. The other day, I told this story to a cousin who lives out in the country. He said it might have just been some bum who got in the car without me noticing, but I know that's not it, because I checked everything and the door was locked. Plus, those eyes in the mirror didn't look like they belonged to a regular person. I can't explain it, but it was something that didn't seem human, you know? My cousin laughed, told me to stop watching horror movies. But that's not it. I'm not the type to make stuff up or believe in crazy things. I just know what I felt, and it won't leave my mind. Maybe one day I can laugh about it like he did. For now, it's just a memory that bugs me. I don't know if I'll get over it anytime soon. As I'm writing this or talking about it, I'm trying to sort out my thoughts. But the more I think, the more confused I get about what happened. I don't know if it was something supernatural, just my imagination, or something else. No. I just know that that night I felt something I'd never felt before. It wasn't just fear, it was like I knew something was out of place. I try not to let it mess with my life, but it's not simple. Driving, which was my routine, now feels like a challenge sometimes. Maybe I should take a few days off, but I can't afford that luxury, so I keep going, one day at a time, trying not to think too much about it. But deep down, I know I won't forget it so easily. Who knows what really happened on that ride? To wrap up, I'm leaving this here as a way to vent, or maybe as a heads up. If you work with rideshare apps, be careful about calls from weird places. I don't know if what I went through was a one-time thing, or if it could happen to others. I just know I wouldn't wish this on anyone, this feeling of doubt and fear. Maybe it was just a bad night, or maybe it was something more. I've got no way to prove anything, and I don't want to try. I just want to move forward, without looking too much at the past or the rearview mirror. If anyone's got a similar story to share, let me know. Maybe hearing someone else's experience will help me understand mine. For now, this is all I've got to say. I don't know if I'll get answers, but I needed to get this off my chest. Story 2. Hello people from Who's There. I'm going to tell you something strange that happened to me. My name's Emma Nilsson. I'm 28 years old, and I'm a freelance photographer. I want to tell you about something that happened too. Me not too long ago, something I still can't quite figure out. It was during a road trip from Oslo to Bergen here in Norway where I live. I was heading out to shoot some winter landscapes for a client, which is pretty routine for me since I'm always driving on these roads. It was a gray January day with light snow falling, but nothing that worried me. I was alone in the car, a beat-up old Volvo that's been with me for about 5 years. The radio was off, so all I could hear was the sound of the tires on the snow and the wind outside. My phone was on airplane mode, so I was relying completely on the car's GPS to guide me. I've done this route a few times before, but I like to keep the device on, just for safety. Well, at least that's what I thought. The trip started out fine. I left Oslo early in the morning, around 7 in the morning, as the roads were pretty empty, as they usually are in these more remote areas. I was driving along the E16, the main route, with the GPS showing the way perfectly. Everything was under control. I even stopped at a gas station to grab a coffee and stretch my legs. There was no one around, just the attendant who barely looked at me. I got back in the car, started the engine, and the GPS kept working normally. I sipped my coffee while driving, listening to the silence of the road, broken only by the sound of the heater. The snow was starting to come down a bit harder, but I could still see fine. I was relaxed, thinking about the photos I'd taken in Bergen. That is, until the GPS suddenly changed the route out of nowhere. It told me to turn right onto a small side road, one of those without even a sign. I thought it was weird since the E16 is the most direct way, but sometimes the GPS recalculates for traffic, or something like that. I decided to follow it, trusting the tech, you know? But the road kept getting narrower, with snow piled up on the sides. There were no tire tracks from other cars. It looked like no one had been there in days. I started to feel a bit uneasy, but figured it was just a quick detour. The GPS kept pushing me to go on, with that robotic voice it always has. Then, out of nowhere, the screen started flickering, like static interference. I tapped the dashboard, thinking it was a loose connection. But it didn't stop, and that's when I saw something that left me stunned. For just a second, on the screen full of static, I saw an outline like it was a face. Couldn't make out any details. It was just a dark shadow, but I swear it felt like it was staring at me. Blinked hard, thinking I was imagining things. And the screen went back to normal. My heart was beating a little faster, but I tried to convince myself it was just fatigue. After all, I'd been driving for hours and the snow can make things feel kind of hypnotic. I kept going on the road, but I wasn't as calm anymore. I kept glancing at the GPS out of the corner of my eye, hoping it wouldn't glitch again. The silence in the car felt heavier, almost suffocating. I tried turning on the radio to distract myself, but all I got was static. The GPS voice started talking again, but this time it sounded different. It wasn't that mechanical tone anymore. There was something almost human about it, like a whisper. It told me to turn left onto a path that wasn't even a road, just a dirt track covered in snow. I stared at the device, not understanding. The voice wasn't clear, it sounded dragged out, like it had an echo. I had the urge to ignore it and keep going straight, but the road was getting worse, so I turned. My stomach was in knots. I didn't know if it was fear or just nerves. I started talking to myself, like, calm down, Emma. It's just a glitch in the device. But deep down, I knew it wasn't just that. The path was awful. The car barely fit between the trees. The snow was deep, and I knew if I got stuck there, no one would be around to help. The GPS kept whispering, saying things like keep straight or further ahead, but it wasn't a normal command. Felt like it was leading me to a specific place and not to Bergen. I was completely isolated, no cell signal, no other soul in sight. The wind outside seemed to howl louder, or maybe that was just in my head. I started feeling a tightness in my chest, an anxiety I couldn't explain. I looked in the rearview mirror, thinking I might see something, but there was just darkness and snow. I decided I wasn't going to listen to the GPS anymore. I stopped the car in the middle of the path, engine running, and tried to turn off the device. I pressed the power button, but it didn't work at first. The screen went black for a second, then turned back on by itself. My heart raced. I swear I almost yelled in frustration. I tried again, holding the button down for a good few seconds until it finally shut off. I took a deep breath, relieved, but I was still shaking a bit. I decided I'd head back to the main road, even if I had to drive blind. Grab the paper. Map I keep in the glove compartment, something I always carry just in case. I started heading back the way I came, slowly, because the snow was getting worse. The silence in the car was weird. It felt like the air was heavy. I don't know. I tried to focus on the path, but I couldn't stop thinking about that voice and what I saw on the screen. Was it just a glitch, or was my mind playing tricks on me? I didn't even want to consider other possibilities, you know? I kept driving, following the tracks of my own tires in the snow. It took a while, but I finally found the side road again. The relief was huge. It felt like I was waking up from a nightmare. But I still wasn't totally calm. Something felt off. I got back to the E16 after almost an hour of being lost. I decided not to turn the GPS back on, obviously, and just followed the road signs. I was exhausted, but I didn't want to stop. I just wanted to get to Bergen as soon as possible. Snow kept falling, and the sky was getting darker. I tried to think about other things, like the job waiting for me. But every little noise from the car made me jump, thinking the GPS was turning on by itself. I was paranoid, I know, but I couldn't help it. Finally, I saw the lights of a small village up ahead, which gave me a little comfort. I pulled into a parking lot just to breathe and get myself together. I drank some water, tried to relax, but I was still tense. A few hours later, closer to Bergen, I decided to risk turning the GPS on again. I needed to confirm a section of the road, and the paper map wasn't helping much. I held my breath as I pressed the power button. The screen lit up normally. No. Static? Nothing weird? The voice came back, but it was the usual mechanical tone, no emotion. I stared at the screen for a while, suspicious, but everything seemed fine. I kept driving, following the directions, relieved that nothing was wrong. But then out of nowhere, the voice stopped mid-sentence. The silence returned, and I froze, expecting the worst. That's when something happened that left me speechless. I heard my name, clear as day, whispered by the GPS voice. Emma, that's all it said, softly, but with that strange, almost human tone. There was no one in the car with me. The doors were locked. The radio was off. I stared at the device, frozen, feeling a lump in my throat. The screen was normal, showing the map. No static or anything. I turned off the GPS right then and there, my hands shaking. I didn't turn it back on until I got to Bergen, about 2 hours later. My heart was racing, but I tried to convince myself it was just a glitch. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. I got to Bergen late at night, exhausted and shaken. I parked the car in front of the hotel and didn't touch the GPS. I just grabbed my stuff and went inside, needing a hot shower and some sleep. I told the front desk guy what happened, mostly to vent, but he just laughed, thinking it was a joke. I didn't push it, because even I wasn't sure if I believed what I'd experienced. I lay down in bed, but it took me forever to fall asleep, replaying everything in my head. Did I really hear my name? Or was it just my imagination after so many hours on the road? There was no way to be sure, and that bothered me. The next day, I decided to take the car to a shop to check the system. I just wanted a logical explanation. You know, the mechanic checked the GPS and said there was nothing wrong with the device. He tested it right in front of me, turned it on and off, and everything worked fine. He even joked that I must have heard ghosts or something. I didn't laugh, just thanked him and left, even more confused. There was no issue, no explanation for the static or the voice. I thought about selling the car, but I can't. I need it for work. So I just decided not to use the GPS anymore, at least for a while. Bought a portable one, a newer model, just to be safe. But I still avoid those back roads, especially when I'm alone. I don't know what happened that day, and I don't think I ever will. It's been a few weeks since then, and I haven't heard anything weird in the car again. But every time I drive on these snowy roads, I'm on edge for any noise or movement. Sometimes I glance at the dashboard, half expecting the screen to flicker again. I don't know if it was just tiredness, a glitch they didn't find, or something I can't understand. All I know is I don't feel as safe traveling alone anymore. I avoid stopping in deserted places, and I always keep my phone with a signal, just in case. I try not to dwell on it too much, but it's hard to forget. The voice saying my name won't leave my mind. Don't tell many people about it, because I know they'll think I'm crazy. But I needed to get it off my chest, you know? I thought about looking up if anyone else has had GPS issues in these areas. Here in Norway, there are tons of stories about remote roads and unexplained stuff, but nothing really solid. I checked out some online forums, but most of them talk about legends or jokes. Nothing that matches what I went through, so I gave up searching. I'm not sure if I even want an answer, or if I'd rather just let it go. A little more cautiously now. It's not exactly fear, it's more like a feeling that something's not right. Maybe it's just in my head, maybe not, but I'd rather not take the chance. If something like this has happened to you, let me know, because I'm curious. Maybe someone has an explanation. In the meantime, I keep doing my work, shooting landscapes around here. Photos from Bergen turned out great, by the way. The client loved them. Yeah. But every time I hit the road, I think about that day. I don't use the car's GPS anymore, just the portable one. And even then, I keep an eye out. Sometimes I think I hear something in the silence, but it might just be my imagination. I try to focus on driving and not think about it too much. After all, life goes on, and I can't stop working because of one weird day. But I'll admit, every now and then, I catch myself glancing at the old dashboard. Just in case, you know? I don't know what that was, and maybe I never will. It's been a while since I've taken those more isolated roads. I stick to busier routes, even if it takes longer. It's not that I think something will happen again, I just don't want to risk it. My car's fine now, I haven't heard or seen anything on the screen. But there's something about that day that stuck with me. A feeling I can't describe. It's not panic, it's more like a constant doubt. Was it just a moment of stress? Or was there something there I can't explain? I don't know, and I don't think I'll get an answer. All I know is I drive with a little more caution now. If I can avoid it, I don't take unnecessary detours. I told this story to a close friend, and he suggested it might have been radio interference or something like that. He said that in remote areas, GPS can sometimes pick up weird signals. I'm not sure if I buy that, but it's the most logical explanation I've heard so far. He also told me to replace the car's system, but I don't have the money for that right now. So I keep using what I've got, just without the built-in GPS. I still make my trips, because it's my job, my life. But that day is always in the back of my mind. I don't know if I'll ever forget it, or if I want to. Maybe it's just a story to tell, or maybe not. If I can give you a piece of advice, it's to always have a paper map or something besides a GPS. Technology is great, but sometimes it fails in ways you can't understand. And on these roads out here, getting lost is no joke. I don't know if what happened to me was something supernatural, or just a bizarre glitch. All I know is it left a mark on me in a way I can't ignore. So if you drive in isolated places, stay alert. Not trying to scare you, just giving a heads up from someone who's been through something odd. I don't know if I'll experience this again, and I hope I don't. But for now, I'm keeping 1 foot cautious. I don't know how to wrap up this story, because it doesn't have a clear ending. I'm still driving the same car, still working in the same areas. Nothing else has happened, but that day is always there, like a memory that won't fade. Maybe I'll never understand what it was, and maybe that's the most unsettling part. If you've got any idea what it could have been, let me know. Or if you've heard something similar, I want to hear it. For now, I keep living, but with a little extra caution on the roads.